because so many people are distracted by politics, they're distracted by self-isolation, they're distracted by this virus, is distracted by negativity. So I think it's really about clearing everything out and saying, okay, regardless of the external circumstances and situations, what do I want to accomplish?
No matter whether 2020 has been spectacular for you or whether it has been the toughest year so far, we all had massive hopes coming into 2020. But we are where we are. This is the Coaches Council, made up of 6 elite coaches dedicated to serving and ending personal struggle for high performers in business, health, and relationships. As a collective, we have built and helped build 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses, dominate in multiple industries, coached and played in professional sports leagues, and developed some of the strongest and most intimate relationships, both professional and personal. This isn't your average podcast. It's for the hungry, the dedicated, the doers, for those that have a dream and truly want that dream to become reality. People who want to take action, leave their ego at the door, and own every level of their life. If that's you, then step into the Coaches Council as we rewrite the truths to living that high performance life. Welcome back to another week of the Coaches Council, joined by Purdeep Sangha. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's up, man? I guess it's just you and I today.
You and I, and we are closing out Q4, heading in first week of November, and it's one of those things where it's hard to believe that a whole fiscal year has passed. It seemed like just we were celebrating the beautiful happiness and excitement of 2020, and very quickly it became not what the 2020 was that a lot of people expected. And what we're going to do today is we're really going to kind of go over some immediate action steps that you can do to close out Q4 very, very strong, so that we can go into 2021, no matter what the whole horizon looks like, with who's president, with what's going on with the coronavirus, what's going on with the economy. It should not matter. What can we do to operate on a high level so that ultimately you can look after yourself, your business, your family, and go into 2021 on a good foot? So, Purdeep, what is it that people can do, actionable steps that they can head into or head out of Q4 with their strongest foot forward?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. My wife and I were just having that conversation. It just felt like, 2020 just flew by. And you mentioned things like the elections and all that kind of stuff. I think the first thing is not get distracted, because so many people are distracted by politics. They're distracted by self-isolation. They're distracted by this virus, is distracted by negativity. So I think it's really about clearing everything out and saying, okay, regardless of the external circumstances and situations, what do I want to accomplish? And then reflecting back on the original goals that people had at the beginning of the year. And whether that's in your business or your personal goal, I think it's important to take a look at those again. I think a lot of people scrapped those goals and just said, to the heck with it. The entire year is kind of screwed. I don't know if that was the best approach. Or if that is the best approach. I encourage people to continue moving forward and moving hard, because as everybody else was in that slump, let's just say 90% of people, the 10% of people that kept going are the ones that are actually making it through strong this year. And so that's the first part, is just reflect on your original goals and what you set to achieve, and actually bringing those back to light. What ends up happening with a lot of people is they give a lot of effort up front, let's just say the first quarter, the second quarter, and then even third quarter, and things start to taper down. And we naturally have a tendency to really, you can say, slow down when we see the finish line. And we've seen those videos, those funny videos where you see someone celebrating that they won the race and they haven't run and they've slowed down and someone's beaten them. Well, that's just a natural tendency of human beings. And the biggest thing you can do is really finish strong, as you said. Keep going. The time isn't done yet. We still got 2.5 months left in the year. There's still a ton of opportunity to capture. There's still a ton of time to really sit down and say, okay, what do you want to accomplish? So take your yearly goals, take a look at your quarterly goals, and actually say, okay, what actually needs to be done from an actionable step perspective. What I like to do too is I like to rally myself with other people. other people that are going strong as well, and seeing where they're at, because there's nothing more motivating and sometimes demotivating when you're actually talking to someone else saying, you know what, this was the best year ever, right? There's a lot of businesses, a lot of business owners that are saying this has been the best year because they've just kept going. So who you surround yourself with is very important. Again, we're being very practical here. We tend to get into this holiday mode as well, coming into December, right? And even, we had our Thanksgiving here in Canada. You guys will have that next month in the US. And then we have holiday season. And typically what ends up happening is within the first week of December, people again start to slow down. So the key is not to slow down, is to keep going, because December is just another month, is to keep moving forward. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't take time off. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't get ready for Christmas and buy the presents and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think this year is a year that a lot of people can afford to really slow down compared to last year, for example. So if you're already behind the game, December is an opportunity for you to actually catch up. So these are just some of the things that I've been thinking about. These are some of the things that I've been working with my clients on, because I've pushed them. It was really interesting because the number of conversations I've had at the beginning of October, towards the end of September, I basically said, okay, I asked my clients, what is your plan for the last quarter? And a lot of them just kind of said, oh, well, I don't know. And I said, okay, you still got one quarter left. You got to put something together and let's make this happen. You got to finish strong. So I think the conversation that we're having right now is very timely, Justin, because planning is the most important thing right now. I think if people just sit down and take the effort to actually see what needs to be done, they can actually keep moving forward.
Hey, Coaches Council listeners. Coaches Council is partnered with Can I Brands, a trusted sport, fitness, and wellness CBD company. And to be honest, I've been using Can I Sleep all natural CBD oil for probably the last 2.5 years. And the spray specifically has been able to help me get a good night's sleep and truly affect the way I show up every single day to optimize my performance. And that's just not my own personal take on it, because I track my sleep every day with the Whoop Band and have been able to see the trends that have happened. My deep REM sleep has improved, my slow wave sleep has improved, my overall recovery has improved, my HRV is on the upward trend, all the things that we are looking for as entrepreneurs and executives to optimize our performance day in, day out. So their products are trusted by professional athletes and coaches just like us on the council alike. So be sure to check out their website at canibrands.com. That's CANIBRANDS.com, and use the code COACHES20 for 20% off all products just like Can I Sleep and other CBD solutions to help with pain, inflammation, energy, mental focus, and anxiety. Now back to the show. Those are such great points, and taking the time to sit back and plan is the biggest thing that we can do. I know I heard a quote the other day that was talking about how the evil or the tough times can be winning at halftime. But the true winners, the true people that show up, the true champions, when push comes to shove and the buzzer sounds at 12 o'clock on December 31st, the good, the empathetic, the kind, the focused, the real champions will show up and win. Mm-hmm. And the tables will turn. And that's kind of where we're at. We're in the fourth quarter. We need to step up. And everything you just talked about, of taking the time to plan, taking the ideas of what you had going into 2020 and figuring out, where have I derailed? It's okay that I've derailed. It's okay that I haven't done that. But I need to get back up. I need to man up. I need to woman up. I need to step up and own it and be okay with that, but make the changes now. And it kind of goes into what I would tell people to do, which is, it's called a when life was working list. Is life hasn't been in shambles forever. It may feel that way if business is down, if the virus has just decimated certain aspects of your life, or the economy has shattered some of the things, or whatever situation you find yourself in. It hasn't always been that way. And it goes back to what we talked about last week with James, where it takes a moment to sit back, be present, set intentional time aside. It's not January 1st that you need to sit down and plan like you were talking about. It's today. And that's how you finish Q4 strong, is you make this when life was working list. Is what time were you getting up every single day? When life was working, what time were you getting up? What were you doing for only yourself? What was your quiet time? What was your intentional time? What was your meditation time? I know you have a big meditation habit. What was your nutritional patterns like? How were you working out? Were you active in some sort of way? What were your relationships like at home? Were you spending a night with your wife? Did you have hard lines in the sand of when you started work and when you ended? Did you have, as Craig would say, this golden hour put aside to get high quality work done first thing in the morning? Did you have your days time blocked accordingly? Were you getting quality sleep? Was your morning routine on point? Was your nighttime routine on point? All of these things are what, like I said, are called the when life was working list. And go through every aspect, every vivid detail that you can remember when you were in the zone, when your business was thriving, when you were doing the right things. Because to be honest, when things were going well, you might have not been doing the right things. That's maybe when you took the foot off the gas, like you were just talking about. And all of a sudden, the virus came, the economy crashed, the uncertainty of the election came up, and you got distracted, as you mentioned. And because you didn't have your foot on the gas, it was off, you were coasting, and all of a sudden this deer or this buck or this ram or whatever came into the side of your vehicle and threw you completely off course. Well, guess what? It's a good thing that we can put it back on the road and start driving off, even if we have a wobbly wheel on the back, and we can go in strong and still hit that 70, 80, 90 miles an hour on the highway, so that we can finish at top speed heading into 2021. Not worrying about what it brings, because we are so focused and intentional on when life was working, what were we doing? Because life is a series of patterns. Business is a series of patterns. Our relationships are a series of patterns. What works for us is a series of patterns. And once we are able to identify what those are, not to perfection, but understand that we have this sliding spectrum of what works for us, and we get back to those, and those become our core values. Those become, as you were talking about, your plan. You can draw hard lines in the sand that create the structure for us and the action steps for us to take, so that we can go running into 2021 as a champion and sink that three-pointer just like MJ would or LeBron would at the buzzer, because just like them, you guys are winners and champions as well.
Yeah, I think what you said, you just nailed it. And I think overall, basically what I heard from you overall is getting into the next year is going to be important, how you get into next year. Because if you go in slow, your first quarter of the next year is going to be slow. So I like what you said there, because it is about ending off strong so you can start off strong.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, like I said, have written off 2020, but you're already going to start to write off part of your 2021 if it's the exact same scenario, for the exact same situation, which most likely, well, I don't know what's going to happen with you guys in the election, man. We'll see what ends up happening there. But this whole COVID thing isn't going to go away anytime soon. We're still going to be in a similar situation, so it's going to be that much more important to actually finish strong.
You're exactly right, Purdeep, because guess what? It goes back to our own insecurities. If we're not where we want to be, sometimes the hardest thing is just getting going again, because we're like, God, look where I was 4 months ago, 8 months ago, 12 months ago. I was doing so well. Everything was going exactly the way I wanted it to. I was a rock star in all aspects, but now I'm not where I want to be. And so starting again can be a little hit to the ego. It can be tough. And we always hear the cliche of just take the first step, just take the first step, just get started. But take a plan. And to your point, the people that truly bought in and went pedal to the metal when everybody else, the 90% of people were like, oh, this time of where we're at, I just need to relax a little bit. I can't do anything, and just kind of coasted through. The people that put the hard work in, the grinding, the embracing the suck of that hard time are starting to see the fruits of it now. Well, guess what? If you end Q4 on a hard note, knowing what your when life was working list was, you put hard action steps in place and you take that first step now, you're going to start to yield that crop, yield those fruits, be able to pick those apples in the orchard like I know you were a couple weeks ago in January, in February, when it's winter for other people who didn't do that in Q4 and just kind of softed their way through. So it's those intentional times to plan and put everything in place now. So it's not everyone hopping on the bandwagon of January 1st, New Year's resolutions to this is going to be the year. Because guess what? You said that back in 2020. You said that back in 2019. You said that back in 2020 or 2017. It goes back and forth. That is the pattern that we don't want to see.
Yeah, I think you're bang on that. There's one thing that I think because some people might be out there saying, well, this year was a write-off. I lost my job or my business closed down or whatever that looks like. But I think this is a great time period based on the last conversation that we had with James Silva in the last episode about slowing down, about taking time. This is a perfect opportunity. This is a perfect opportunity to reset. So I think what we're talking about here is not necessarily don't do anything. You got to keep moving forward. You got to be active. You got to be proactive. But let's just say you're not in the position to continue to do the same thing that you were doing before. This is an opportunity to reset and actually develop your skills. So if you've lost your job and you are looking for another job, this is an opportunity to say, what new skills do you need to build? If your business has been impacted, this is an opportunity for you to say, okay, how do I change my business? So just because it's not business as usual doesn't mean that you're kind of off the hook. This is a massive opportunity. This typically happens too when we hit a recession. Justin, is when there's a recession, typically enrollment in university programs or adult education programs skyrocket. And they skyrocket because people reevaluate their situation and they say, I need to do something different. So they spend the time developing themselves. We have to remember that with every downturn, there's an upturn, there's an upswing. And it's the people that are at the beginning that capture the most rewards when there is an upswing. Those people that are laggards, that are just waiting, just following everybody else, they're the ones that don't capture the opportunity, whether that's in the real estate market, the economy, the job market, whatever that is. So get out of the gate with a head start. That's basically the last thing I would say for that.
You're bang on there, Purdeep. And what I want to piggyback off that is the finishing Q4 strong. We're not talking just financially. We're not talking about seeing the money come in. That quite honestly, it could be the last thing that we start to see. And that could be the fruits of your labor in February, March, April, May, or even 12 months from then. But it's exactly what you said. It's finishing strong with your intentions, finishing strong with your plans, finishing strong with your actions, and doing the things necessary to push yourself forward. You brought up a great point. Did you lose your job? Did you get laid off? Did your business go under? Do you have to reevaluate where you're at and start over? This is a blessing. Awesome. Let's hit the brakes, reevaluate, go back to the when life was working list, go back to the items in your life that you've set up and planned for and what your goals were, and reevaluate how you need to take action now so that once again you see that uptick, or once again you put those actions into place, you start to see the fruits of your labor pay off. You start to see that upward swing, that upward trajectory that you're truly looking for, and that at the end of the day that you deserve.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much to add to that, man, because for me, if you can see the video, you can see my son hanging off my arm here, but this has been a huge, you can say, reset for our family. I think this has been one of the biggest blessings for us, was it actually forced us to spend a lot more time with each other, forced us to actually find new hobbies as a family and actually go out there, be a lot more active. We were spending a lot more time outdoors this year than we ever have. So I think in a way it's a blessing. And I think that's just how we need to approach things going forward.
No, you're 100% right. And so no matter whether 2020 has been spectacular for you or whether it has been the toughest year so far, we all had massive hopes coming into 2020. But we are where we are. The biggest thing we can do now is take a look at where we are at, hit the brakes, reflect, and understand what plan we need to institute today. What action steps do we need to take today? Is it by looking back at the when life was working list and making that clear and concise so that we can take action on those things to reciprocate what was there once before? Or is it looking at our goals and where we were at to reevaluate them and give ourselves new action steps that rejuvenate us and help us drive through this November and December heading into 2021 so that we can be on the top of our game no matter the uncertainties that are upon us. So with that, thank you for listening. Stay hungry, stay humble, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for joining us for another week of the Coaches Council. If it wasn't for you viewers and listeners, we wouldn't have a platform. So again, it's all about you guys. And we want to give you a reward just for listening. We want to give you access to each one of our coaches for a little bit deeper, intimate experience. So if you go to coaches-council.com, coaches-council.com, subscribe and like to whatever platform you're viewing on, you're going to be entered to have that one-on-one experience. So be sure to go coaches-council.com and really interact with us because we would love to interact with you. Until then, stay safe, stay hungry, stay humble, and thanks for listening.